Greetings, I'm Modron, and as you have seen from the title of the video, I'm going to discuss my topics about why I'm quitting the game. And before I begin, I want to point out that I'm not quitting the game eternally. I'm just supposed to move away from it for a certain amount of time, and I will probably most likely return into the beginning of the next expansion, but I have some struggles with it, and I will discuss it later in this video. So, before further ado, let's begin. Well, the first topic I'm going to discuss, the first uh, part of the topic why I'm quitting, it's the PvP. And right now it sucks, it's lacking. Well, the first part of this topic, it's not in a specific way connected with the game, but it's connected with its community. And Blizzard showing no response to our ideas. Well, uh, probably you've already guessed I'm talking about the solo queue. If I have to be honest, in the beginning I thought that's not quite the greatest solution, but after analyzing it, after giving it some thoughts. Well, that's the greatest solution, which will save PvP. Um, well, PvP is not doomed in any way, but the solo queue will improve it in many ways and will save a lot of time. Because in my uh, in my opinion, a lot of people are struggling with finding a partner which has the skill, the time, the opportunity to play. Well, I'm struggling with that as well. So um, I've probably heard about the idea before a year ago, and since then, the entire PvP community was crying out for Blizzard to implement some kind of a solo queue system into the game, and I thought that Blizzard are really dedicated to their fans to hear what they want to uh, to make the game playable for everyone, to seduce everyone. So I was extremely hyped because the whole thing of about the Sokyo was huge, and at BlizzCon I was probably mostly hyped about it. I was in my mind like they're going to announce some kind of solo queue system into the game to introduce something like it, but they didn't, and in a closed interview they said that they didn't actually give some kind of a thought with which disappointed me about that they're not caring about our ideas, our needs in this game. So um, my specific problems with PvP, it's finding a partner to play with. That is good, that it's cute, and I'm getting my enough for me high rating. So I'm playing with that guy. So in time he must to go away for whatever reason, and I'm going to play with someone else. So that other guy will be not skilled enough, not competitive enough, so he will ruin my rating. And that's something which happens to me every week, and I'm frustrated with it. So the solo queue could help me. Help me to enjoy the game way more. Well, uh, even they didn't implement it into the next expansion when I thought the PvP will be the same. I find myself questioning: do I want to play the game in the next expansion when I know the PvP will have the same strugglings? So that's the first part of the topic why PvP lacks right now. So the miscomprehension uh, of of the solo queue idea just freaks me out. So yeah, the second part of this topic is the lack of PvP content. Well, I don't remember correctly, but the last battleground was added before 5 years ago, I guess. Well, that's insane. Well, I'm me. As I'm a PvPer, I I want to have more battlegrounds, some more PvP content. World PvP probably. I loved it back in the day. Dual Link, they screwed up this expansion. I'm really sad about it, but I'll discuss it later. So, um, the lack of content. We, as a, indeed, the World of Warcraft community, the PvP site, it's much smaller than the PvE site or whatever else there is. So, um, the lack of content just makes the game kind of boring, quite the same over, and you're doing the same thing over and over again. So it's it makes me feel bored without some kind of a new fresh content. Well, this expansion we got arenas, which were great, and brawls, but that's way not enough. We need more. So that's the second topic. We need more PvP content. Well, and the third part of this topic, it's for the most part the game it's unbalanced. But don't get me wrong. In the beginning of the expansion, in the Legion expansion, the PvP balance, in my opinion, was great. Well, it has its problems, yeah, its issues here and there, but in my opinion, it was great. It was so fresh, enjoyable for everyone, and balanced. I was really passionate about PvP in the first at the launch of the expansion and the first patch. And since patch 7.1.5, they just annihilated the balance, in my opinion. And since then, they're trying to fix it. And right now, it's 7.3.5, and it still sucks. Like it has its layer of improvement, but it's still broken, and I'm frustrated with it. Like I have the same problems since the 7.1.5, like um, melee classes doing an insane amount of damage, and heroes being so immune and hard to kill. I find myself in a difficult to choose what to do because uh, it's so unbalanced, it's so unfair in certain ways. So the PvP is broken from many ways, and me as a PvPer, I'm disappointed from Blizzard. But in the beginning of the expansion, it was great. I loved it. But Blizzard have done a lot of unnecessary things, like buffing the wrong classes, nerfing the weak classes, like nerfing their spells, their mechanics, and they screw it up. Probably they had something good in mind, but they didn't made it out how it's supposed to be. So that's the topic around PvP. And yeah, okay, let's move on. Well, the second topic, it's a fundamental part of the game that it's lacking right now, and it's the social aspect. Well, it still exists, but like a tiny bit from the predecessor, what it was before. So, through the entire expansion, and probably the previous expansion, I felt so alone in this game because actually you don't need to be related to people to achieve something, to reach your goals. You can do everything alone, and that's not the point of an MMO. And without this fundamental part of the game is much more boring. and not epic enough. Well, uh, specifically for me, I'm missing the feeling to achieve something with someone. Uh, to share my goals and passions about the game, and just uh, competing and playing with my guild mates with the same goals, with uh, the same points that we need to achieve. I miss that, and the game is way more casual right now. It's way more easier. You, I specifically don't feel like I'm achieving something. The things that I achieve in the game, they don't mean much because everyone can do them. And I can see the split between the casual players and the hardcore. So uh, the game is lacking the social aspect. I miss the time when I get log on into the WoW and everyone is like whispering to me, do I want to help them with something, to do something else with them. So um, the social aspect is lacking because the game became way too easy. It's not that complex as it once was, and actually I'm looking forward that Blizzard will fix that. I still have hope. Blizzard are a great company and they listen to their fans, except for the solo queue issue. So, um, in my opinion, they'll fix it in certain way. So, but yeah, that those are my two topics. That the PvP sucks and the social aspect of the game is lacking. And without these two things, I'm quite bored because these are one of the main reasons why I'm addicted to the game, why I'm dedicated, why I have a specific passion for it. And yeah, but if I have to leave my thoughts about the future of the game, well, I think Blizzard will implement and fix those issues. Like Legion was probably, in my opinion, the greatest expansion that I've played. Besides those issues, well, if they implement the mechanics that we need and just to fix generally to fix the game, uh, it will become glorious as it once was. So, alright, my thoughts about the future of the game. Uh, Around the solo queue, well, if I look it from another perspective, every other game in the Blizzard franchise has some form of a solo queue, so in my opinion, it's just a matter of time that we will get some kind of a solo queue system. And about the social aspect, it could sound silly, but in my opinion, if they make the game more harder, they won't push away weaker players. They will drag them to learn more about the game, to become better, and ask for help, and to return that feeling of society into the game. So yeah, thank you for hearing me out, and I would love to hear your thoughts about the game into the comments and your opinions. So see ya.